Welcome to the TExES 391 Core Subjects EC6 online test prep course, covering subject exam number 1, English Language Arts and Reading, test number 901. This course is presented by Teacher Preps, your trusted source to help you pass your teacher certification exam. Thanks so much for being here. Let's get started. As you can recall from the NES and Texas Education Agency Administration website, these Texas core subjects includes a total of 10 competencies for the English Language Arts and Reading exam. And this lesson, we are focusing exclusively on competency number 8, which is all about written communication. Let's zoom in here and I'll type the statement so we can see it more clearly. Competency 8 states, the teacher understands that writing to communicate is a developmental process and provides instruction that promotes students' competence in written communication. All right, great. The first thing I notice is that this entire competency, which we can think of as being one chapter or one key topic that we need to know for our exam, is all about written communication. Now, to me, these official exam statements are always written a bit too formally. So what I like to do is to paraphrase them in my own words to understand them better and therefore understand what we need to know as a test taker to be prepared for exam day. Now, what it says here is that we need to know that learning to write well takes time, and we need to teach writing in a way that helps students get better at expressing themselves in writing over time. Now, if you're feeling a bit nervous or overwhelmed about this exam, don't be, because you're watching the right video. So I'm going to take you step by step through each of the 9 descriptive statements listed below to make sure you are 100% ready for exam day. Now, if you're ready, let's begin this lesson looking at statement number 1, which says the beginning teacher teaches purposeful, meaningful writing in connection with listening, reading, and speaking. Again, let's rephrase this into simpler terms. Meaning, the beginning teacher guides the students to write a clear goal and real meaning, and this writing is tied to listening, reading, and talking. All right, now that makes more sense. Let's jump into lesson number 1. Starting with the basics of a definition, with purposeful writing being that it is writing with a specific intent or goal. And meaningful writing is writing that holds significance, relevance, or value for the reader. Now, let's talk about the ways in which the 4 skills presented in this standard are all connected. First, we have listening. Before writing, students need to listen to gather information, understand perspectives, and get and be inspired. Listening skills can influence how effectively our students absorb and interpret the information that we're teaching. Next, we have reading, which exposes students to different writing styles, enriches vocabulary, and broadens knowledge. It provides context and inspiration for our own students' writing as well. The next mode of connection is with speaking. Discussing ideas before writing them helps students refine their ideas. Speaking can help clarify thoughts and gain feedback, which can help improve writing. And lastly, we have writing, which allows students to express, document, and communicate their ideas and knowledge. Great. Now that we understand the connection between reading, writing, listening, and speaking, we need an instructional strategy to actually teach the written communication to our students. Let's go over that now. If you're watching and you've been watching the past videos we've made in this series, the instructional strategy called gradual release of responsibility is not new to you. But just in case it is, let's go over this right now. This is when the teacher models completing a task, the students observe how to do it, then the teacher and students complete the task together. And finally, the students complete the task independently to demonstrate mastery of the skill. An easy way to remember the gradual release of responsibility is I do, we do, you do. And the great part about this framework of the gradual release of responsibility instructional strategy is that it is transferable to almost all types of instruction. Still, I want you to pass this exam on your next try, and I'd like to give you just a bit more insight. Again, these are strategies that have been discussed in previous lessons because the general framework teaches students new skills effectively. But hearing it one more time can only help. So here we go. Strategies to teach meaningful and purposeful writing. First, we have model writing. This is when a teacher demonstrates how to write for a different purpose. That might be a persuasive essay, it might be a narrative, or other. Next, the teacher uses prompts. Remember to offer students prompts that encourage them to connect personal experiences with what they've learned in the classroom. Then let's implement peer review. We can encourage students to share and review each other's work. This involves listening and speaking skills to give and receive feedback. And then, remember, integrate reading materials. We can use texts that can serve as models or discussion starters for our students' writing assignments. And finally, class discussions. Before writing, we can encourage students in discussions about the topic so that they start to brainstorm and formulate their own ideas. Once the activity has ended, it's important to assess your students' understanding and provide feedback to them. Next, we have the use of rubrics. Use detailed rubrics that outline what is expected for different writing assignments. Rubrics give students a clear roadmap for their tasks, making both learning and feedback more straightforward and effective. Remember, your exam expects that you deliver lessons that are direct and explicitly taught. Before we end this lesson, let's wrap up with key points to remember. First, writing is not an isolated skill, it is deeply connected with listening, reading, and speaking. Next, the purpose of writing should always be clear, whether to inform, persuade, entertain, or reflect. Make sure that the meaningful writing resonates with the reader. It's not just about following directions or a format. Let the students write what's meaningful to them about a topic that you can provide. Integrating all four skills provides a holistic approach to teaching English language arts. All right, moving straight into the second descriptive statement in Competency 8, which reads, the beginning teacher knows how to promote students' development of an extensive reading and writing vocabulary by providing students with many opportunities to read and to write. That sounds great, and as you know, I like to break the formal language down for you to make sure that you are totally clear with the expectations of this content specification. So now I'm going to rewrite it. Let's say the beginning teacher understands how to help students expand their reading and writing vocabulary by giving them lots of chances to read and to write. All right, way more clear, super simple. Let's dive into this content standard. At the heart of written communication lies vocabulary. It's a crucial component bridging reading and writing. The more words a student knows and can use, the better they can comprehend what they read and express what they want to share in their writing. This brings us to a baseline understanding that you'll need to know for your exam. Why is vocabulary development important? And there are three common factors that you'll need to know. The first is vocabulary is a foundation for communication. A strong vocabulary aids and helps in both understanding and expressing complex ideas. Next, academic success. A rich vocabulary improves reading comprehension, writing quality, and performance across subjects. And finally, confidence boost. When students know more words, they feel more confident in their reading and their writing abilities. Now, that we have a firm understanding for why vocabulary development is crucial for our students, let's transition into strategies to promote vocabulary development. What we want to do as teachers is provide our students with many opportunities to read and write. And in this section, I'll provide you with 7 excellent strategies to promote vocabulary development for your students. Let's learn about these now. Starting with regular reading time. Set aside dedicated time for students to read books of their choice. This exposure naturally expands vocabulary. Next, it's important for children to broaden their literacy by reading different types of texts. Interactive read alouds are also key. Read to students and pause to explain unfamiliar words. Encourage them to ask questions from words that they don't know. To promote the development of vocabulary, academic language, and background knowledge, we can use explicit listening comprehension activities by providing word explanations, read both literary and informational texts aloud to students, and conduct guided discussions of text, content, and vocabulary. Here we have writing prompts. Make sure to offer your students varied prompts that engage students to use new vocabulary words in different contexts. Also, don't forget about the structure of language. Sentence combining, which focuses on improving students' sentence structure, and this happens when a student is taught to recognize common sentence patterns, often using a grammar point. Let's have a look at a specific example. Word walls. Display new vocabulary words on a classroom wall. Update these regularly and encourage students to use the words in their writing. Vocabulary journals. Have students maintain a journal where they jot down unfamiliar words, their meanings, and a sentence using the words. Book clubs. Small group discussions about books can introduce students to words that they may have skipped over while reading alone. And finally, we have our seventh strategy for helping our students develop their vocabulary, and that is word games. Games like Scrabble, Boggle, word search, other puzzles can be really fun ways for students to discover and reinforce new words. Diving into our next section, let's explore how we can ignite a passion for vocabulary in our students, turning every single new word into an exciting discovery and celebration. We can try one of these activities. First, word of the day. Introduce a new word every day and encourage students to use it in a sentence. Next, thematic vocabulary. When studying a particular theme, like ecosystems, for example, introduce relevant vocabulary and have students incorporate them into their written or spoken assignments. Third is celebrate progress. Regularly acknowledge and celebrate students' vocabulary milestones. Helping students find an interest in words and their meanings is called word consciousness. Next, remember the following methods to develop students' word consciousness. These include: first is engaging students in word games. Next, discussing the etymology and morphology of words and supporting students' investigations in finding out where these words came from. Also, drawing attention to the use of figurative language and encouraging our students to share new and interesting words that they find. Moving straight into the third descriptive statement of Competency 8, which reads, the beginning teacher monitors students' writing development and provides motivational instruction that addresses individual students' needs, strengths, and interests. This is going to be a super fun lesson, as what this standard means is that a new teacher keeps a sharp eye on how students are growing in their writing and gives encouraging lessons that fit each student's unique skills, needs, and other attainments like that. Remember, the foundations. Effective educators not only teach, but they also monitor. Keeping track of students' writing development isn't about seeking out mistakes, but rather understanding the growth, the patterns, and the areas of potential in each student's writing journey. For instruction to be motivational, it must be personal. One size fits all models seldom ignites enthusiasm or passion for our students. For your exam, keep the following writing instruction frameworks in mind. Let's start with diverse writing prompts. By offering a range of prompts catering to varied interests, we can ensure to our students that they are definitely going to be excited about writing the tasks that we present to them. Tap into topics your students love and watch their passions really ignite. Also, we can use peer reviews with a twist. Pair students with diverse writing strengths. In this way, they can learn from one another's strengths, fostering collaborative learning. And lastly, use tech integration. Use digital platforms where students can publish their writings, catering to tech-savvy learners and giving them a platform to showcase their talent. Every student is unique. Their writing voice, challenges they face, and everything about their strengths might be different. Next, you'll learn 3 ways of addressing individual needs, strengths, and interests, beginning with diagnostic writing assessments. Remember to begin new units with assessments to understand each student's current writing level. There is also the strength-based approach, where instead of focusing solely on correcting errors, highlight a student's strengths in writing and building upon them. And then we also have to use personal writing goals. By collaborating with students to set personalized writing goals, ensuring they have ownership of their learning process, they're going to get more out of that learning process. These 3 have been general frameworks and they are essential, but it's still important for you to have a set of specific ways to monitor your students' writing development. Let's go over this now. Monitor students' writing development in grades 4 through 6. To begin, you can use writing portfolios to track your students' progress in writing over time. You can also use conferences by scheduling regular one-on-one meetings with students to discuss their writing, which allows for direct feedback. You can also use parent-teacher collaboration, where you can provide updates to the parents and discuss any observations or trends that they see in their students' writing at home. Through the individual and fun writing prompts that we discussed earlier, you can use student journals to understand development in students' writing ability. You can also use digital tools and applications that your school has access to, which track changes and provide insights into a student's writing progression. You can give standardized assessments to measure data on student growth, while keeping in mind that this would not be the best way to assess for creative expression. In our 4th lesson covering Competency 8, our description statement here reads that the beginning teacher understands differences between first draft writing and writing for publication, and provides instruction in various stages of writing, including pre-writing, drafting, revising, including both self-revision and peer revision, and also editing. In other words, the new teacher needs to know the difference between a first attempt at writing and the final polished piece ready for sharing. The teacher teaches the students the different steps in the writing process, from brainstorming and first drafts to making changes themselves, getting feedback from others, and final edits too. To answer the description statements prompt, we must first begin with the difference between first draft writing versus publication writing. While the first draft is the initial stage of thoughts, often raw and unpolished, writing for publication is refined, polished, and audience ready. Next, let's discuss the stages of writing and equip you with instructional strategies throughout the various stages of writing to help you get totally prepped for your test. The pre-writing stage is the brainstorming phase. Here, students gather and organize their thoughts. Techniques like mind maps, lists, and free writing are really handy. The way to teach it looks like this. Instructional strategy: we encourage students to choose topics that they're passionate about and provide them with graphic organizers to structure their ideas. Moving from pre-writing to our next stage in the writing process is called drafting. This is when students begin to shape their thoughts into structured sentences and paragraphs. The focus isn't on perfection, but progression. In order to teach drafting, we encourage students to write without interruption. This is their opportunity to let ideas flow. Create a welcoming environment where mistakes are seen as part of the learning process. Moving from pre-writing to revising, here the content is refined. Both self and peer revisions play a pivotal role. Students learn to enhance clarity, coherence, and overall appeal. Instructional strategy that we use and recommend is to introduce students to the ARMS, capital ARMS, revising strategy, which is add, remove, move, and substitute. Encourage peer reviews, ensuring students provide constructive feedback. Next, we move from revising to editing. This is the final touch stage before publishing, called editing, and this stage is all about correcting grammar, punctuation, and spelling errors. Instructional strategy here is to introduce proofreading symbols and encourage students to use them. Offer checklists for students to ensure that all the elements have been reviewed. Here we are at the publishing stage. This is when the finalized piece is shared with a wider audience, celebrating the students' hard work and accomplishment. Instructional strategy that we like to use is to create opportunities for students to share their work, whether it's in a class, magazine, on a bulletin board, or through a classroom reading. Celebrate each publication to instill pride and confidence in our students. This also helps motivate them for future writing projects. Welcome to our fifth lesson in this series of teaching you everything you need to know in order to pass all questions regarding Competency 8 on your exam. The standard that we are going to be reading this lesson says the beginning reader understands the benefits of technology for teaching basic writing skills and writing for publication, and provides instruction in the use of technology to facilitate written communication. All right, let's break this down in layman terms so we both understand exactly what we need to know for test day. What this means is a new teacher recognizes how technology can be beneficial for teaching basic writing and for preparing writings to be shared with others. Teachers teach students how to use tech tools to make writing easier and better. All right, let's jump straight into this lesson. First, we have the benefits of technology in teaching writing. For your exam, you'll want to keep in mind the benefits for your students, and these include the following. Interactive platforms. Technology offers interactive platforms that make writing engaging. Tools such as digital storytelling or blogging platforms allow students to see writing as an interactive process, not just a task. Next, instant feedback. Spelling checkers, grammar correction tools, other platforms offer real-time feedback. Helping students correct mistakes as they write is a huge benefit and something that students definitely really like. Next, technology also offers collaborative opportunities. Google Docs or similar platforms encourage peer reviews and collaborative writing experiences. Lastly, an important aspect to keep in mind on the test is differentiation. Tech tools allow for personalization. Students at varying skill levels can receive tailored instruction, ensuring no one is left behind. All right, great. Those are some key benefits for teaching writing using technology. Next, the exam content standards state that we need to know about providing instruction in the use of technology to facilitate written communication. One method is the process-oriented approach. Using platforms that facilitate pre-writing like mind mapping tools or drafting such as word processors, and also revising such as collaborative platforms, and then editing like grammar checkers. These all work super well. Now, let's walk through the steps it takes to facilitate this kind of lesson. First, you would start with an introduction where you and the students discuss how writing is similar to building. It doesn't happen all in one stage. Introduce the four main stages covered in previous lessons. Remember, pre-writing, drafting, revising, and editing. Then, pre-write using mind maps. Demonstrate to show your students how to use the mind mapping software. Explain what it's like and any tips that you can provide. An example could be to give a topic like my favorite holiday, and students spend 10 minutes mapping out their thoughts and ideas. Once the students are ready, organize a discussion by having the students share what they wrote in their own mind maps. In the next step, the students would type their draft with their tablet or computer. However, before the students actually start their typing, remember the instructional strategy that works for all subjects that we've been advocating for every single lesson. You can remember what it is, I know. What is it? That's right, the gradual release of responsibility strategy. And this is the time of the lesson where the teacher would model how to use the device. And then also the teacher and the students can use it together. And finally, the students complete the task by using the device all on their own to show the teacher that they're ready, capable, responsible enough to use the device. All right. Now that the demonstration is complete, the students take their ideas from the mind map and start writing a draft on the topic. Tip here, emphasize that they shouldn't worry about making it perfect. It's all about getting ideas down right now. Next is the revising section. Here, the teacher can utilize the collaborative platforms using technology by first demonstrating how to use the commenting feature in, for example, Google Docs. Then go through an activity by pairing students up and swapping documents. They'll leave comments on each other's drafts, focusing on content and clarity. Keep in mind here that the students should have been pre-taught the lesson of digital citizenship before ever commenting on someone else's work. Then move to a discussion. Bring the class back all together and have a discussion about their experience. What was it like to get feedback? What was it like to give feedback? Great. Now, the next writing stage is editing, where you can utilize the grammar checkers. Start with a demonstration, introduce the grammar checker, show how it highlights errors, and offers suggestions. Then have the students run their drafts through the grammar checker and make corrections based on the tool's feedback. Tip here, remind students that while these tools are helpful, they should not rely on them completely. Their own judgment is crucial. To wrap this classroom lesson up, review the stages of writing and the tools used in each stage. While you're having a discussion, ask students about their favorite tools and what they found challenging. Assign a new writing topic for them to practice the process independently. And while using technology for writing is fun and an engaging way to learn for the students, technology offers numerous benefits that educators must be aware of potential pitfalls, such as over-reliance on spell checkers or the potential for plagiarism with easy internet access. Teachers, we've got to provide guidance on how to use these tools ethically and efficiently. Grasping how tech fits into teaching writing is key for today's teachers. By smartly mixing in tech tools, educators can make writing more appealing, keeping students hooked and give them the digital tools and know-how they'll need to succeed in the world we live in today. Welcome to our sixth lesson in the series of teaching you everything you need to know about competency number 8. This one says the beginning teacher understands writing for a variety of audiences, purposes, and settings, and provides students with opportunities to write for various audiences, purposes, and settings, and in various voices and styles. Excellent. This means the starting teacher gets that writing changes based on who it's written for, why it's written, and where it'll be read. Also, we as teachers need to give our students chances to practice writing for different readers, different reasons, at different places, and in unique ways and times. Without further ado, let's jump into this lesson to make sure you are 100% prepared for test day. Teaching writing tailored for different audiences, purposes, settings, voices, and styles prepares students not only for academic challenges, but also for real world scenarios where writing adaptability is vital. Let's start with discussing writing for different audiences. Every piece of writing has an audience, whether it's to parents, a student's friend, a teacher, or a principal. Likewise, we as teachers will need to teach our students that writing also has different purposes. Writing always has a purpose, whether it's to inform, to persuade, to entertain, or to describe. Students must understand the purpose behind their writing and structuring their content that fits their target audience's needs, wants, and interests. In order to teach this skill on your exam, be on the lookout for questions that have answers that incorporate exercises that provide a topic and a purpose. For example, write about rainforests could be approached informatively, describing what rainforests are, or persuasively why we need to protect rainforests. Furthermore, on your exam, you will be presented with mock questions that gauge your understanding of appropriate activities that match the writing purpose. Let's cover this now. List of activities and assignments tailored to promote students' understanding of diverse writing purposes and styles. This is the first activity to promote writing purposes in the classroom. Now, you can also use purpose exploration, a journal activity where students maintain a weekly journal where they write on the same topic, but with a different purpose each time. For example, to inform or persuade or entertain or describe. The outcome here is that this helps students grasp the differences between various writing purposes using a consistent subject as a baseline. Another fun and engaging activity you might come across on your exam is called style swap stories, where students write a short narrative. They then swap stories with a peer and rewrite the story in a different style. For example, from narrative to expository, or from first person to third person. Doing this fosters adaptability in changing writing styles and perspectives. Next, a teacher might also choose to implement the activity called target audience letters. This activity is where the teacher selects a given topic like importance of recycling. Students write 3 separate letters addressing different audiences, one for younger students, one for their parents, and another for government officials. In this case, the audience helps students adjust their language, tone, and content based on audience understanding and expectations. Incorporating these activities and assignments into the curriculum will offer students a comprehensive understanding of the multifaceted nature of writing. They'll be better equipped to adjust their writing based on purpose, audience, style, and setting, making them more versatile and effective communicators. Before we wrap this lesson up, let's cover the last section in this descriptive statement, which is all about writing in various voices and styles. Voice in writing gives it a unique flavor, whether it's authoritative, playful, formal, or conversational. Style, on the other hand, refers to how content is presented, like descriptive, narrative, or expository. Teachers should integrate diverse writing prompts in their lessons, encouraging students to step out of their comfort zones. This not only enhances adaptability, but also fosters creativity. Understanding how to write for different people, reasons, places, and in unique styles is important for creating versatile writers. This skill preps students for school success and real life situations. As teachers, it's our job, and honestly an honor, to help students sharpen these skills. Welcome to the 7th descriptive statement, all about written communication, the parent topic of Competency 8 of your TExES core subjects exam. The descriptive statement we are addressing in this lesson reads, "The beginning teacher teaches students to use appropriate conventions to support ideas in writing and to use an appropriate form of documentation to acknowledge sources such as quotations, bibliographical information, differentiation between paraphrasing, and plagiarism." All right, as you can see, this is a fairly lengthy statement. Let me try to phrase this in simpler terms so we can better understand the expectation for exam day. I'm going to say, in this lesson, we're covering how new teachers should guide students to use the right writing rules to back up their ideas. This includes correctly citing sources like quotations, book details, and teaching the difference between rewording and copying. All right, without further ado, let's dive into this content. Great. So, starting with conventions in writing for effective communication. This content standard states teaches students to use appropriate conventions to support ideas in writing. Well, what are appropriate conventions to support ideas in writing? What does that mean? You might be asking. Well, that's a great place to start. This refers to the accepted norms and practices in written communication that help express and clarify a writer's ideas. Next, let me give you some clear examples. These include grammar and syntax, punctuation, spelling, paragraphing, tone and style, formatting, citing evidence. In case you'd like a refresher on that entire in depth lesson, go back to the first lesson in competency number 7 or the fourth lesson in competency number 6. Next, if a student asks what the purpose or importance of writing conventions are, or if on your exam you get a question that portrays a real life scenario asking you to demonstrate your knowledge on such a topic, you're going to want to look for an answer that gently breaks down the importance through understanding. For example, the teacher says, imagine reading an article without any punctuation. The meaning would become muddled, causing confusion. Using the right writing rules helps you tell your story or message clearly. Next, you'll learn how to use properly acknowledged sources in writing. Let's get straight into it. We're going to want to start with an introduction to documentation. Documentation is the way we give credit to others for their ideas, words, or research that we've used in our writing. By documenting, we avoid taking someone else's work as our own, which is called plagiarism. Next, let's move to quotations. We use these when using someone's exact words. Put them in quotation marks. Example is according to Dr. Smith, reading daily improves vocabulary. Next, bibliographical information. Bibliography, also called works cited, is a list of all the sources you've used. Here are some important details to include. For books, you include the author's name, book title, publisher, date of publication. For articles, include the author's name, article title, magazine or newspaper name, and the date of publication. For websites, include the author's name if available, website title, website name, date of publication or update, and URL. For our next topic, we'll cover paraphrasing. This is when you put someone else's ideas into your own words. It's not just changing a few words here and there, but genuinely understanding and expressing the idea in a new way. Let's look at an example of paraphrasing. Original text here reads, cats are often independent animals that enjoy solitude. The paraphrased version would be, cats usually like being alone and doing their own thing. Now let's look at plagiarism, which is different. This is when you use someone else's words or ideas without giving them credit. Even if you change some words, if the idea is taken from someone else and not credited, it's plagiarism. Now, let's look at an example of an incorrect paraphrasing. This is plagiarism. Cats are frequently independent pets that prefer being solitary. By mastering proper writing conventions and correctly acknowledging sources, future teachers ensure both clarity in student writing and the fostering of academic integrity. Welcome to the last lesson, covering Competency 8, all about written communication for your TExES core subjects exam. In this lesson, we'll be focusing in on the descriptive statement that is highlighted in red below, which reads, the beginning teacher understands how to foster collaboration with families and with other professionals to promote students' development of writing skills. Have you ever heard the old phrase, it takes a village to raise a child? Because this is never more pertinent than in the realm of education. In fostering writing skills, collaboration between educators, families, and other working professionals at school is vital. Let's dive into why this cooperative approach is so important and how we can use it effectively. The power of collaboration. Engaging families and professionals creates a supportive environment around the student. It ensures continuity in learning where what is taught in school is reinforced at home and vice versa. Engaging with families is a great opportunity to connect with your students' family members. Considering providing parents with resources like writing prompts or suggested reading limits that align with current curriculum themes. This equips them with tools to support their children's writing endeavors at home. Now let's talk about collaborating with other professionals. Instructional strategy here is to participate in professional development workshops with our peers, share successful writing strategies, and collaboratively design cross-curricular projects that emphasize our students' development in their writing journey. Overcoming collaboration barriers can be difficult. Communication barriers, time constraints, or other differing philosophies might impede on collaboration. Recognizing these challenges is the first step. Actively seeking feedback, being open to change, and fostering a culture of respect can bridge these gaps.